Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Jim. I'm here with my partner Steve. Steve, say hello to our loyal fan base.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our show.
May 23rd, 2020.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah. So of course we send our thanks and praise to the veterans that sacrificed everything to allow us to have the freedoms that we enjoy, and
No
I
doubt.
don't take that lightly.
No, we
I'm
don't.
very serious, and as a matter of fact, this is going to be the first year in probably 30, 35 years that I'm not going to go shake hands with a couple of World War II veterans at Ramsey Memorial Park as the parade, and
Right.
that thing is closed.
We're here in Oakland where I live, the Memorial Day parade. And
Your knees buckle when you meet these guys.
absolutely. And unfortunately, I wish there was more people that understood the significance of Memorial Day. But,
Yeah.
on this show, like you said, we thank everybody for their service. And we actually have a
Past, present, and future.
a deep appreciation
We sure
of
do.
those guys that sacrificed. So, like
And
you
how
said,
sad it is. Like every year I go, there's one less guy, and it's really it's the way it is. But these guys are true heroes, and again, we thank all our first responders and nurses and everybody else during this crazy time, which hopefully may be subsiding a little bit.
correct.
Right? I mean, things seem to be moving. People are going to the beaches this weekend, right? It's Memorial Day. That's what you do in New Jersey, right?
Well, have fun, no umbrella, and et cetera, et cetera. So,
Yeah.
but I got it, and I'm still looking for my landing spot on Monday for my hot dog and hamburger. Actually, 3 hot dogs, 2 hamburgers.
I know. I got
But all right, so here we are. I think we had some topics to
We do.
discuss.
We
and,
do.
let's
We
get
got some
to it.
things we'd like to talk about. And our first segment sponsored by Coriano Trucking, of course, who is, just one of our loyal supporters throughout our endeavor, and we thank them very, very much.
And we thank our sponsor, Mr. Coriano. We actually went out golfing with our sponsor on Sunday, and we wanted to thank him for the invite. And it was a great day for us and to
And
get
that-
out and golf. It
And
was-
that kid could hit the ball, too.
yes.
And he a great guy. Ozzy was one of our playing partners.
Yep.
Stand-up guy, hell of a golfer, too.
Yep.
It was nice to get out.
And also, the sponsor guy Coriano is considered the toughest pound for pound guy in the history of,
Sports. Certainly in high school sports. Right? Anyway. So listen, there's a couple of things on the football front for our local Jet fans. Hey, you signed 2 of the oldest guys in the league, right? Joe Flacco and Frank Gore.
Hey, I think Frank Gore is a good signing. I mean, now you got
Really?
Le'Veon. Yeah, Frank Gore. Frank Gore is going to the Hall of Fame.
There's no question he's going to the Hall of Fame based on the numbers, but is he a Hall of Fame, Barry Sanders, Walter Payton, Earl Campbell type guy?
Frank Gore.
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
Does he have that talent level,
No.
special talent? No. But Frank Gore.
And you and I have talked about compilers, Steve, right?
Yeah, but the point is, Frank Gore doesn't get hurt. All he does is carry the ball and get chunks of yards.
Right,
and
and average-
he's been doing it for Christ. It's got to be 15 years.
And averaging 3.2 yards a carry or whatever. I mean, come
Frank
on.
Gore-
You and I could get 3.2.
Frank Gore's going to the Hall of Fame.
No, I'm not questioning
I
that.
think it's a good signing by the Jets. You got Le'Veon Bell, and obviously Frank Gore's not going to carry the ball, 25 times. But
And the Flacco signing, look, they're going to pay him some money. He just had surgery and stuff, so I'm not sure. But Darnold's not lasting 16 games, whatever.
Yeah.
So he's actually going to play for the Jets. You can rest assured that's going to happen.
listen, signing Joe Flacco as a backup, I don't have a problem with it.
Exactly.
I mean, Joe Flacco stopped caring about 2-3 years ago anyway.
I know.
So if he can land a gig in New York, isn't he like a Delaware? He lives in Delaware. Or something,
No, he
right?
lives down in South Jersey now.
Ah, okay.
In Avalon, or no, not Avalon. whatever, but he lives down in South Jersey. A friend of mine knows him very well.
Okay.
And these guys made millions, but now he's going to make millions sitting
Right.
on the bench holding a clipboard, right?
Yeah,
The old
right.
Terry Hanratty
So
syndrome.
what? He's got a Super Bowl ring and earned it. And
Exactly. No, I'm not
He's had a
dismissing
more
him.
than serviceable career.
I'm just saying this truck has been to the repair shop more times than At some point, you got to say I got to get a new truck, right?
Yeah. And then another, I think, notable signing was the Seahawks signed Carlos Hyde to 1 year. The Seahawks, for whatever reason, they got the injury bug at running back. I mean, they had Marshawn Lynch, obviously, then when he left.
Recycled,
Yeah, I mean,
I got you.
there's been a stable there. So Carlos Hyde for them, I think that's a...
And they're not going to sign Clowney? Doesn't look like, right?
No, probably not. I mean, Clowney wants a ton of money, and somebody will pay him.
Remember, he was a #1 pick in the draft, and it took a couple of years. He was like, this is going to be a bust, a Ryan Leaf, which we'll talk about in a second, but he's actually a pretty good player.
Yeah, and then one other thing I wanted to bring up while we're talking NFL is the NFL reinstated Alden Smith that the Cowboys signed, I don't know, less than a month ago.
How long do you think that's going to last before he...
Well, I got the backstory, which I didn't know, actually. Mike Nolan, who is the defensive coordinator now for the Cowboys, saw Alden Smith. I guess they worked out at the same gym or something in California.
And he looks good, but then when the cameras aren't on, he...
Well, whatever. Alden Smith's, track record obviously is
horrendous.
disturbing, to say the least. But when you look at his production, this guy had like 44 sacks in like
I know.
50 games or something. He's probably 30, I would think, by now, or something along those lines.
And you're saying the Cowboys signed this guy?
They did.
You know.
They signed him to a 1-year deal, but the NFL just finally reinstated him. I mean, is he a train wreck? And am I expecting...
Waiting to happen?
Yeah, I mean-
Antonio Brown mold?
Well, we're
possibly?
talking the Dallas Cowboys. We signed Greg Hardy. We got Randy Gregory.
Yeah, well, Greg Hardy's prospering in the
Yeah.
MMA
Right.
business now.
But you know what? The Cowboys have a history of taking on mentally disturbed individuals.
Possible disruptions to the locker room.
Yeah, so
right?
I would take the, I would lean towards Alden Smith.
Not playing more than 2 or 3 games, if a game
I'll
for
be
the
stunned
Cowboys.
if he gets through the preseason without an
Exactly.
incident in Dallas.
That's funny. Yep. But listen, there's a couple other things in the NFL. I did watch this, and we talked about this before. Football Life on NFL,
Yeah.
and we talked about it that there are some guys that deserve a documentary called A Football Life, and some that don't. This one, I watched 2 of them: Bruce Smith and Jim Kelly.
Okay.
Now the Kelly one, this is our wheelhouse. You and I, we worship these guys, right?
Good.
Him going and says, "I'm never going to Buffalo." He ends up going to Buffalo and kicks ass. 4 Super Bowls. We know the backstory.
I mean, we remember Jim Kelly back in Miami.
Exactly.
You
Playing for Howard Schnellenberger.
that's right. We look like Howard Duff. If anybody knows that actor, Howard Duff.
Oh, of course. Been in more movies than Charles Durning.
Yeah, no, that's impossible.
How many Gunsmokes and Bonanzas was he on?
Yeah, well,
Howard Duff. Good call.
He's not approaching Kirk Douglas.
I actually saw Howard Duff on a Charlie's Angels. Believe it
yeah.
or not. Yes, we
Howard
wasted
Duff
a night.
never turned down a role in anything.
Anyway, but some of this stuff was the Kelly thing is awesome. This guy's had a lot of bumps in the road, but he was sitting there with his 5 brothers, and it was kind of reminding me of us, right? We have 5 brothers,
We do.
and we just kept. And then the Bruce Smith one came on, and I loved it. I mean, this guy is so cool; it's unbelievable, and ferocious.
Oh God.
And we have to bring it up because Steve and I talk about it. We're very stringent in our requirements to get in the Hall of Fame. This guy was a Hall of Famer, and when you talk about defensive ends going into the Hall of Fame, Michael Strahan, do I need to go on? I think not.
Well, I
this
think
guy was great
Yeah. So I think
in the era of Lawrence Taylor, by the way.
my point is Bruce Smith. So, like you said, we have a very stringent policy. Is this guy a Hall of Famer? Bruce Smith? Yes. Okay.
But I'm saying if you wanted to say this defensive end is up for induction in the Hall of Fame, I said, is he good as Reggie White or Bruce Smith? And then that's the bar. That's the bar.
Right. So I was just going to lead to, is Warren Sapp a first ballot Hall of Famer? Are you kidding me?
Outrageous.
Outrageous. So when you bring up a Bruce Smith and you see the NFL life on him, right?
Yep.
It just, brings you back to what, one of the all-time greats. I mean, Reggie White is probably considered the best.
Those are the best two defensive
Right,
ends
or
that we ever saw.
Deacon Jones. We were a little bit too young for Deacon Jones in
Yeah.
his prime, but we've seen 1,000 clips and everything.
Yeah.
But, again, I wanted to bring up the Warren Sapp, Howie Long,
Please.
you know.
And Joe Klecko
Of
sitting
course.
on the sideline
Right.
going, what about me?
Yeah.
What about me? But this was, and this guy is so cool. And he does so much he's giving back, right?
It's a good
And he
guy.
admitted it. The whole thing that was so cool about it, he had a little bump in the road. He got suspended for 4-game suspension for something, right?
Yeah.
Illegal substance.
Yep.
And he took it on the chin and said, you know what? I did this, and it ain't happening again. So I'm going to, and he put it all on. This guy.
I think he got a drunk driving or something.
No, it was a 4-game suspension.
Yeah, it could have been PEDs or something.
But what a class act. He's a model citizen. But you got to watch the Kelly and Bruce Smith football lives on. I did watch half of the Thurman Thomas.
Yeah.
He was pretty good too. And remember that draft night, because we used to watch drafts like it was the Super Bowl, right? Taking our notes and watching what's going on. And he was supposed to be the first running back picked, and he's sitting there and time goes on.
Right.
The Aaron Rodgers thing. you
Yeah.
know?
A Brady Quinn type of thing. Right?
Exactly.
We've seen numerous guys fall.
Yep. But listen, football looks like things are going to start working out. They're going to start getting back to work.
Right. So I just saw something about the Steelers. They just announced
the
that
ticket thing or
Yeah, they're going to
something?
hold back at least half their season tickets or availability for tickets. But Ohio State earlier in the week, the horseshoe holds 100,000, right?
Yeah.
So their idea is if they do play 20 to no more than 50,000. So it's part of college and the NFL planning for the
Yeah, 50,000 will curtail the spread of
social
coronavirus.
distancing. No, but also the NCAA. There was a number that came out. $4 billion if they don't play football
Exactly.
will be lost.
Exactly.
We talked about sports.
Yep.
General $12 billion
In
lost
general.
revenue for professional sports, which is
Right.
probably now $14 billion and counting.
Right.
But teams are now planning for social distancing when and if
Yep.
the leagues come back.
All right. Well, that's like I said. It looks promising. And what about in hockey? Right. Let's talk about that season.
One
you
other
know.
football note.
Oh, please.
Ryan Leaf was in the news.
Again.
Yeah. Actually, Ryan Leaf, I heard him on an interview a month or two ago. I thought he's turned his life around.
We talked about this about a year ago.
Yeah,
And
I
I
mean,
said,
listen-
wow, he did turn his life around.
Right. He had a drug addiction.
Admitted his
burglary, all this nonsense.
Right.
But now, we just wanted to mention, he just got
Slipped
busted
up.
for domestic assault. So we just wanted to mention that Ryan Leaf is back in the news.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too, and I said, "Oh boy, relapse." I guess that's what they call it.
Oh, I would imagine Ryan is in a shady motel right now somewhere.
Yeah. Well, we wish him the best, but like I said, he is considered one of our all-time busts. But when we did watch him in the Rose Bowl, we go, "This guy is a stud. He's going to be awesome." Right?
Right.
It was great.
But it's funny you mentioned that Rose Bowl because the '97 Michigan game was on.
I know. it
Right,
was.
with Brian Greasy.
Yeah.
And we talked about this. Mike Price, was the head coach of Washington State, but Ryan Leaf was actually the quarterback for Washington State in that
Yep.
game, and Michigan won the national championship.
Yep. But listen, I'm psyched that football's coming back. But on that other note, like I said, our second segment is sponsored by Lynch Motors of Manchester, Connecticut, and
Right.
again, hope all is well with them and their families. Thank you, Mike. But Steve, I was just going to bring it up on the hockey. Like, what else is coming back, right? And you
No,
did
there's
some homework
I
on
mean,
it.
there's actually some positive news. I mean, it's not official. We don't know when the season may start, but you know, it says the executive board voted to approve a 2014 conference-based playoff format. Right.
Why wouldn't they? Some of these teams that weren't going to make the playoffs anyway now can get in the tournament. And you know how hockey is, right?
Oh,
You
sure.
get hot. You get
So
out.
Eastern Conference, as of now, which you know,
Rangers, Hurricanes.
top seeds are the Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, Washington Capitals, Flyers. So then there would be a play-in series: Pittsburgh versus Montreal, Carolina versus the Rangers,
Yeah.
Islanders, Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs, Blue Jackets.
Well, it's basically like hockey anyway. Everybody gets to the playoffs, right? That's
Well,
the old slogan, right?
And then
Who doesn't make the playoffs in the NHL?
And then the Western Conference with the top seeds are the Blues, defending Stanley Cup champs, Colorado Avalanche, Vegas Golden Knights, Stars. Play-in series would be Edmonton versus Chicago, Nashville versus Arizona, Canucks versus the Wild, Flames versus the Jets.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
So, yeah, I'm kind of torn. You know, I get it that Lord Stanley's Cup will be raised, right?
But it'll be an
However,
asterisk. You
of
know, we know
course,
that. We
of
know
course.
that. We know that.
And I'll give credit to a friend of mine who, Michael Oroz, actually, is his name is. And we were talking on the phone, and we talked about the return of the potential baseball. So let's say the Yankees win the World Series.
Right.
So his line was, what are they going to do? Put up 27 and a half championships?
You know what? That was pretty easy.
I know, but it's actually...
Okay, Michael,
I'm
thank
mentioning
you.
it on the air because I thought
I got you.
it surmised,
That's very funny.
right?
Right. Like Eddie Goodell, the guy
Totally.
who wore one half, his number was.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, when we're talking hockey, and listen, I'd love for it to come back. I actually watched Miracle again last
Yeah, I
night,
know. It was on
which
that.
I think is awesome. When it first came out, I thought it stunk.
Ah,
And then now I think it's awesome. And I watched a good thing on ESPN about the, behind the scenes with the 80. For some reason it was on. I don't know. It was awesome.
I can watch it 1,000 times and never get sick of it.
Exactly. But it was awesome. But I saw this thing. It was an interview with Wayne Gretzky and Alex Ovechkin. And you and I've talked about it. You still think he's got a chance to break that all-time record?
I go.
But Gretzky is nothing but class. I mean, right from the day we saw him, remember he was on the Indianapolis Racers before he
Absolutely.
got his rights were picked up by the Edmonton Oilers back in what, 70? I'm gonna guess 5, 6,
Yeah.
whatever.
Later than that. I mean, Gretzky came up, I would say Gretzky's first year might have been like 79, 80 or something like
What, in the NHL?
that. Yeah.
Oh no, it was before that. I mean,
No, I know he played.
against the Islanders when they lost in the
Well,
finals for their first
That
Islanders
was
first cup.
1984, the Islanders' fourth cup. And then Edmonton.
Yeah,
took
you
over.
could be right. But it was awesome, and I keep putting it in the back of my mind, with the season being suspended like it is with this coronavirus, it hurts Ovechkin's chances and
Yep.
stuff. But it was so funny. He sits there, he's missing his tooth, didn't even put his fake tooth in.
Right.
And Gretzky's sitting there in a, Pierre Cardin suit,
Oh, absolutely.
but it was awesome to see, great highlights. But Gretzky goes, listen, I'm hoping this guy pulls this off. That would be awesome.
And the more I think about Gretzky, obviously his hockey achievements speak for themselves, and he's Babe Ruth,
No
in
question.
that category.
We've covered
But
that.
then I've been thinking about it. I'm like, what's more of a greater achievement of Wayne Gretzky, his hockey career, or producing Paula Gretzky, his daughter,
Paulina.
Paulina, who happens to be Mrs. Dustin Johnson,
Yes. Through
And,
thick and thin. Yeah,
highly underrated Paulina. Let me tell you.
Well, it comes from good genes. What's it?
Janet
Janet
Jones.
Jones, of course. But it was awesome to see. So this is the kind of stuff we talked about. We get to watch an interview with Ovechkin and Gretzky, right? The greatest and the guy who may end up with the most goals in a league, which is tough to score goals.
Sure.
So, but listen, let's move on. A couple of things I wanted to touch base on, and we touched base on it last week a little bit about the the Triple Crown, and right how the Kentucky Derby's been moved to September.
Right?
But they did confirm that now the Belmont, so we're going to flip flop, right? The first, second, and third races of the Triple Crown.
Yes.
Now the Belmont's going to be the first to be run. But here's my thing. I don't have a problem with them running it early, but they knocked it off from a mile and a half.
To what?
I don't know. Mile and an
less
eighth.
than.
Less than. Which is notable to me.
Well, it kind of
Because
makes,
this
makes sense if
why,
it's going to be
though?
the first race.
Okay, again, then keep it a mile and a half. If you want to make it the first race, no?
No, but I think I understand right off the bat what the philosophy is. I mean,
But we
it's
talk-
going to be the first race,
I know.
right?
But what it always made the Belmont so unbelievable, and it's separated, right? Ask guys like, the horses like Big Brown and
Right.
Funny Side, right?
Yep.
Running a mile and a half that's what separated a Triple Crown winner from the has-been.
It's like we're running the Boston Marathon in 90 degree weather.
I know, it just drives me crazy because a mile and a half was always the coolest thing about the Belmont.
Well,
They get
like-
100,000 people. You know how many people might be there this year?
43,
I don't know.
including the jockeys and
And
stewards.
the peanut vendors. But so they're going to run the Triple Crown, but it's going to be a little out of
I
line.
mean, you already hit the nail on the head. An asterisk. Every sport that comes back is going to be an asterisk.
Because it's not in the same format it was that we've known for
Because
our
it is
entire
what it
lives.
is.
You got-
Right?
Yep. But listen, I'm happy that they're going to run it,
Sure.
and we'll certainly talk about it. We got another week and a half. I think it's early. I'm not sure. June 6th.
Okay.
Something
Yeah,
sounds
but
right.
it's, again, all this stuff is now conceivable that it's going to come back, and of course, it just depends on this Corona thing, and
I think you know what I think the biggest concern,
it's all
Steve,
about.
is this second wave. And right, we've had some experts that think this could open the Pandora's box again, and now we're back to where we started. And some say, listen, it's over, and that's what's going on. And what's at stake? It's like you brought it up: billions and billions of dollars for the NCAA, the NFL. Who don't cry me a river for the NFL, but Major League Baseball, and we're going to talk about that because sounds like they're not as close as we'd hope, right? And the season's already would be a third over.
right.
How many? What's the watermark before you say, are we going to really play a 75 game baseball season and crown a World Series champion? Does
Well,
that make sense?
I think it's going to be 100 games, but I'm glad you brought that up because Major League Baseball, I don't think it's a lock. It's coming back, and I think it's due to the union. It is.
Well, that's what seems to be
It is the toughest sports union of any sport, meaning there hasn't been one player that's ever crossed the picket line in Major League Baseball. Unlike the NFL, and we can go back to even
No.
Randy White.
Notable
at,
names.
at the tail end of his career.
Didn't
You
Joe
think
Mon-
Randy White gave a shit if... you think Randy White was missing a payday in his 14th or 13th year? But the point is they had scab games and et cetera, et cetera.
replacement players,
Right.
the whole thing. I got
So unless the money, et cetera, there's still a lot of negotiations to do. But my point is, listen, they've already canceled the season. I think '94 they canceled the season, if I remember correctly, due to the strike. So Major League Baseball's players union is a tough union, man.
And we talked about it the other last show about whether or not these guys they don't want to play if they're not going to get paid. They make millions and millions of dollars. It's nothing like it. But you're right. The union is saying, wait a minute, we can't spit on the field. We can't do this. We can't do that. Who are you to tell us? But at some point, I got to say, if they try to squeeze in an 80-game Major League Baseball season and put up some fake World Series trophy for 80 games, I'd rather cancel the season, start next year, which would help guys like the Yankees, right? Judge and all these guys can get healthy.
Right.
Hicks, you
Right.
know.
So it gives Giancarlo Stanton some time to heal and then get hurt for spring training next
I
year.
purposely didn't mention his name because that's irrelevant, right?
Right.
But Judge and stuff, you know, this is good for them, right? He
It
wasn't
wa-
going to play
Yeah,
anyway.
God, it's incredible. You know, I think 2 weeks ago I read in the paper, Aaron Judge is going to go under an MRI for like
Again?
a cracked rib or something. Really?
How did he do that in quarantine?
When was opening day? Early April,
Right.
right?
Threw his shoulder out, opening up a
Oh, God.
champagne bottle in quarantine.
Mr. Judge, you better start staying healthy
Exactly.
if you want to make $30 million a
If
year.
you want to be a legend, not a Balboni or somebody that came up. Who's
Yeah.
the other guy from Dan Pasqua? Remember, he was going to be the next Roger
Sure.
Maris.
Dan Pasqua, William Patterson College in New Jersey University.
Norwood, Northvale, something like
Yeah,
that.
Old
Japan.
Japan. Absolutely.
Old Japan.
Yep.
But listen,
How about Eric Duncan from Seton Hall Prep? Yankees third baseman, high draft pick, first round. Never panned out.
like Andy Stankiewicz.
Oh my God! we could be here until Thursday.
There was a local guy. I think he played at Teaneck. Jerry Glanville had a good. Not Jerry.
Doug Glanville.
No, Doug Glanville.
Yeah, Doug Glanville.
Played for the Phillies. Had at least a 12, 13 year career. you know.
Cubs, Phillies, and Doug Glanville is very articulate. And
Jersey
he's on-
boy.
Absolutely.
Jersey
He's
boy.
on ESPN, and he's got a good broadcasting career.
Yeah,
So
he's
Doug
done well for
Glanville
himself.
absolutely had a great, very good Major League Baseball career.
Yep.
Locally here.
You bet. So what else? Anything else? Like I said, we're still missing it. I don't know. I was thinking the other day about these high school kids, and they're going through these virtual proms. But these other guys, you know, seniors in high school, their whole senior year is, you know, which you try to
Yeah.
excel and possibly get a scholarship and so forth. Their senior year is done.
Yeah, I think we talked about it.
And I brought it up because, you know, there's a St. Joe's kid that's a brother of a good friend of mine, a friend of the show, Jim Adamo, and so forth. And, you know, there goes the senior year. So that's what's happening on the local level.
Yeah, and again, you know, I've mentioned that my son is in 8th grade, and I'm very, I'm very emotional about it. That, you know, it's a rite of passage, 8th grade. I mean, that, you know, when
It
you're in
is.
8th grade,
It is.
that was your year, man, right?
Yeah.
So I actually just got an email from the school. He goes to middle school in town here, and there's not going to be a graduation. It's going to be a quote unquote
Virtual.
graduation,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
That's a shame.
So you know,
Well, how does this affect his prospects of playing football in the fall?
it's out of our control. So my son is actually going to go to Ramapo High School in Ramapo. You know, we've talked about Charles DePrima, and now I'm kind of a little concerned about that because Charles is going. You know, Charles was all North Jersey.
Where's he going?
Charles is being looked at a lot of Ivy and 1AA or you know schools. Charles is going to land somewhere, but my point is, this season may be in jeopardy, and you know, maybe the high school football season will be canceled.
You think?
And it's no lock that they're going to play.
I get it. I get
Right?
it. I
And
get
I
it.
think that would be devastating. And I'm not just talking Charles, I'm talking about any
Every
kid
kid.
across the country going into their high school senior year.
That's who I'm talking
and if
about.
your season is canceled, that's
Right,
it's
like
gut-wrenching.
Like Nick Adamo from St. Joe's. Perfect example. The kid was so psyched. It was his senior year to
Yeah.
play baseball, and poof, it's gone.
Right.
So
So
now
my,
the football kids have a chance, though. You know, that season may get underway.
right.
It
So
may.
my son is going to play freshman football at Ramapo, but I don't have any answer yet because, you know, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yep.
So it's sad. I'm bothered by it.
It's one of the things that we've talked about, though. This is, right, the graduations and the things and the senior seasons that kids were having. What about kids that were, you know, planning on going to colleges? Their colleges is closed. It's crazy.
No, absolutely.
It's crazy. But it's happening, and I think it's lightening up a little bit. like
Well,
I
let's
said,
hope so.
You know, I don't know. I'm speculating, but it seems I've seen more cars on the road. Let's put it that way.
So let's switch gears to probably which is going to be I would say, the biggest sports moment since Ali Frazier probably tomorrow.
Ooh.
There's a golf event that Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods are going to be facing off against Phil Mickelson and Mr. Tom Brady at Riviera.
I know you bring
I don't
this
even
up
know
in
if
jest.
I don't even know if I could sleep tonight. In anticipation of this.
Is
event.
there anything more irrelevant than this, and why people would even spend 1 second? Who could care less? I know you brought it up in jest, but you're right. It's going to generate tens of millions of dollars. I don't want to watch Phil Mickelson, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Tiger Woods play golf. I don't.
No, I
A
want
match play?
I want to listen to Phil.
Oh.
Humor out on the. Hopefully they're mic'd up so we can hear the banter.
Of course,
course.
this will be a 30 for 30. You know?
But I tell you what, Peyton Manning is one of the all-time trash talkers. So,
Getting a little tired of him.
but isn't it ridiculous that it's come to this? But I get it. They got to make money. They got to fill some airtime.
I'm
just
going
saying.
on record right now. I will not watch 1 second of it. I will rather watch the Cornhole Championship sponsored by Johnsonville Sausage, which we neglected to bring up
Right.
last week. That's going on, thank goodness.
What, we already forgot about the stone skipping championships we brought up about a month ago?
Our audience will never forget about it. They'll book their things, right? The Bassmaster Championships. That's where we've come. But that's funny.
Got to bring it up.
That's funny.
But the PGA, I think,
That's coming back.
It'll be back.
It's coming
It'll be
back.
back soon.
Yep. But listen, that's some good stuff.
Any comments? Sports with Mono and Mono at gmail.com.
Yep.
Love to hear your feedback. And
We certainly will
Yeah.
respond, but we would respect your opinion and answer accordingly.
I did talk to one of our loyal listeners during the week, Mr. James Walsh, who actually he said he had to pull over on the side of the road on our Carol Channing impressions.
Yeah,
last
that's
week.
right. That's right in his wheelhouse too. Right? He's a couple of years north of us. So.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Oh, I'm not even going to do it again. We did our Jerry Stiller and Carol Channing in the same show. I mean, bonus time, that's like a BOGO.
Right. Next is RuPaul.
That'll never happen. I will polish my Johnny Carson, which is phenomenal. By the way, that's on every night at 10 o'clock.
Absolutely.
What's in his monologue last night? This was 1974. He had Bob Hope
Wow,
on,
that's a great one.
John Candy. It
Sure.
was so funny.
Right.
So funny. Listen, before we move on to our notables, because we got something to say on that front. There's two things I wanted to
Well,
ask.
before we move on, let's bring up our last sponsor. One of our most loyal sponsors is Di Filippi's Bakery in Monticello, New York. Carmela, the owner, who is working her butt off, providing meals called Cooking Through COVID.
Yeah, it's
And
going good,
she's
I hear.
providing a great service. And you know what? She really works hard, and she actually was interviewed on a radio show during the week, and she's actually trying to coordinate a Cooking for COVID-a-thon type of thing. So,
Okay.
so something on the radio that's in the works that for the Hudson Valley. So.
Yep.
We wanted to thank Carmela, and we appreciate her and her
Yeah,
loyalty.
she falls into the class of these heroes, the people that are in the mix of this, doing things that if they're not in the front lines, they're doing things behind the scenes, and that's
Right.
great, and we thank her. Thank her.
Absolutely. Thanks, Carmela.
Yep. But listen, before we move on real quick, I just wanted, there's two things that are coming up, and you and I, when we've talked about The Last Dance, right?
Yep.
Which was, kind of a groundbreaking documentary on somebody that we saw growing up. And now there's a lot of conversation about these kids. How could they possibly judge Michael Jordan? They see LeBron James, right? So that's the LeBron, Michael,
Debate.
who's the best player ever.
Sure.
But there's two things coming up on those in that same documentary motif. Lance Armstrong. Now let me give you my thoughts on this first, because I actually remember saying, before I knew anything about his shenanigans, if you will, I said this guy is the greatest American athlete ever. And I got to sit here and say I was so naive that I didn't see that this was going on, and this is beyond. I mean, this is not just taking opioids or steroids. This is draining blood, putting new blood in. It was a science.
This is Bernie Madoff stuff.
But I'm gonna say I'm gonna watch it. You?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
No interest?
No, I've already seen the documentary on him.
I did too.
I already know everything I need to know about Lance Armstrong. We actually brought him up on the show.
But this is an ESPN thing.
We talked about Greg LeMond. Not only was he a fraud, but he was probably one of the most vicious assholes to cover his ass because he knew, if exposed, how to the level of this fraud.
Right, but Armstrong, he was the successor to Armstrong. Armstrong was just as violent or vicious or, cruel or whatever.
What do you mean?
About his whole process. Greg LeMond, yes.
Greg LeMond won 3 Tour de France's.
How many did Lance Armstrong win? Clean?
Apparently none.
All right, listen.
Lance Armstrong didn't win 1 Tour de France without
I know.
whatever the hell he pumped into his body.
I didn't know that Greg LeMond won 3 that were clean. How do we know that?
Because it's a fact.
All right.
And the fact
I'm only
that,
bringing it up, Steve,
No.
because I'm saying that
this is personal.
Cycling,
This is actually gets personal for me because when I saw this documentary, that Lance Armstrong tried to character assassinate Greg LeMond. Okay, and then if you watch this documentary, I think it was on HBO.
I've seen it. Now
Yeah.
you mention it. I've
But
seen it.
you know what?
I've seen it.
Greg LeMond won 3 clean. And to me, Greg LeMond is the greatest American cyclist.
But when does the fraud for Greg LeMond come in?
There is no fraud for Greg.
Oh, I thought you said he was a bum.
No, I think Lance Armstrong went after Greg LeMond because Greg
Oh,
LeMond
I got it. All right.
knew
I got
that
it.
Armstrong was a fraud, an absolute fraud.
And he tried to. If
Oh,
I have to expose
Lance
you, I will.
Armstrong went after him to character assassinate him.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Oh, there's so many.
This is why I'm bringing it up.
Right, there's so many layers to.
I'm going to watch it because
Lance Armstrong being probably the biggest scumbag in the history.
I got it. I may watch it anyway because I wanted to see this Greg LeMond side. I didn't know how vindictive he was going after LeMond.
Oh,
That's one, and then the other one, and again, I'm going to sit here and say, as humble as I could possibly be, it's called Long Gone Summer, the McGuire Sosa thing. I had no idea that this was steroid induced. I got to believe, and I'm a sports guy, but I sat there and going, it was pretty cool, and I got caught up. Would you watch it? That's what I'm asking.
no,
Not even.
no.
Stephen, our philosophy is to keep
under-
our friends close and enemies closer.
Yes, I understand.
That's how we make
we're doing a
informed
sports
decision.
talk show, and that we should watch it.
And we're going to throw up watching McGuire and Sosa and the fraudulent.
I am not watching Sammy
Okay.
Sosa.
All right.
Ah,
I brought it up.
Don't even get me started. I knew at that time.
Let me say, I'm not watching it because I'm a fan of his or McGuire's. I'm
No.
watching it to say, holy crap.
I
didn't know this
I will
was
go
going
on
on.
record in 1998. Sammy Sosa hitting 60 plus freaking home runs. Are you kidding me?
All right.
Sammy Sosa.
I just thought these guys were working out. I didn't know how bad the steroid thing was. I didn't know.
You know what?
I didn't know.
I may watch a portion just to maybe get a highlight to remind me when Sammy went to Congress. No inglés.
Hey, Sammy, it's not immigration, it's Congress. We're talking about baseball.
God.
Beesball.
Please, we would love
All right.
feedback on this one.
Absolutely. Send it to us at sportswithmono@gmail. We'd
But the
love
thing
to.
about Mark McGuire is we remember him at USC. We remember he had a brother, Dan,
Yep.
who was a quarterback at San Diego State,
6'7".
drafted by the Seattle Seahawks. Was
Went to
actually-
Iowa, didn't he? Iowa?
Dan McGuire went
San
to
Diego State?
San Diego State.
Right.
But I think he was a first-round draft pick of the Seahawks.
He was.
Bust. Absolute bust. So
Seahawks?
anyway, McGuire comes on, and we see McGuire He was tall, but he wasn't this,
I know.
ridiculous,
it.
Popeye character, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but now to answer your question,
Okay.
I have no interest, and I've even said this, and I'll stay. Roger Maris to me, when we talking about Bonds, Roger Maris to me is still the home run king at 61 with an asterisk. Okay, beats the Babe at 60. Why? Because Roger played 162 and the Babe played 154.
Yep.
To me,
I got it.
he is the
All
home
right.
run king.
I just wanted to bring it up that I may watch them and I may talk about it because I may learn something I
Sure.
didn't know. But it's sports and it's interesting. These were guys that had impact, right, wrong, or indifferent.
No, I get that.
It happened.
But also, I will give credit that this home run chase in '98 brought Major League Baseball back, ratings because of the
It
strikes
did.
and all that stuff. So,
It did.
so that I will acknowledge, fueled Major League Baseball coming back to prominence.
And then when you're right, when guys like Brady Anderson were hitting 47 home runs,
God.
we go,
Brett
oh, boy,
Boone.
we got it. Anyway, I may watch him. May
Now,
report
Brady
on.
hit 50 for the record.
Did he?
Yeah,
50.
yeah.
Brady Anderson.
Brady Anderson.
All right, listen. Before we sign off, we wanted to bring up some notable passings, which we do in sports world and entertainment world, and I want to lead off with one because it happened just after our last show, so we didn't get to bring it up. Was Phyllis George,
Oh, yeah.
and Steve and I remember this, and my sister made mention that she wanted us to bring her up. She was the first lady of Kentucky, Miss America, and a
Yep.
pioneer in sports.
She was married to John Brown, I believe.
Yep.
Was the governor of Kentucky.
Yep.
And actually, I spoke to, what I remember about Phyllis George is everybody knows I'm the biggest Roger Staubach fan, like Jim Smith, a loyal listener. We're Roger guys.
Yep.
But there was an interview when Phyllis was doing NFL Today with Irv Cross, Brett Musburger,
In the
and
days,
and
yep.
interviewed Roger Staubach. And Roger Staubach, the theme was, you're clean cut and you're perfect and all this. And then Roger's famous line, because Roger has, 5 to 6 or 7 kids, something
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
And Roger's line was to Phyllis, hey, I like sex like anybody else.
Oh, shocking!
Right?
Right.
So, but Phyllis George was actually a very pretty woman.
Yep.
And she was a good lady, and
And all the
rest
Pam
in
Olivers
peace.
and Erin Andrews have her to thank because she
Oh,
was
yeah.
literally the first one to get into sports on national television.
Sure. And I
And
would-
that's when you and I used to watch the pregame
Oh,
show, which
absolutely.
we don't watch anymore.
Right, because we needed to see Jimmy the Greek's picks.
Right. I want to tell you, Blake. Vegas is getting heavy money on the Falcons.
Can I get another scotch over here?
Exactly.
So Phyllis George, rest in peace.
Yep, no doubt.
Let's go with the ladies here.
Go ahead.
So this another one, and this actually, unfortunately, this is a week where it could be record, territory. Remember, we had a
For notables,
right?
Yeah.
But anyway, at 100 years old, Miss Annie Glenn, wife of
Widow.
astronaut John Glenn, an American hero,
You bet.
unquestioned.
Yeah.
And Annie Glenn passed away at 100, so
did.
she's reunited with her husband.
Right.
And if you remember The Right Stuff,
Awesome.
great movie.
Awesome.
And Annie Glenn, had a stuttering problem, and because she was afraid to go in the media and the national spotlight, and you just saw the relationship between John Glenn and his wife.
Oh,
And,
she was a darling first lady of
absolutely,
NASA.
absolutely,
No question about it.
So rest in peace, Annie Glenn at 100.
Right, and there's two notables. Let's call it from Hollywood, if you will. Right, Fred Willard, funny guy.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
we know him. I remember him. I remember in Channel 5, like there was some show with Martin Mull. He was on.
Fernwood Tonight.
Good call. Wow, I wouldn't have got that on Jeopardy, for God's sake.
How about
Good call.
How about Best in Show?
Oh, exactly. Probably his best movie.
and
movie
on and
role.
on and on. But Fred Willard had a
Even played in Raymond the past couple
we
seasons.
brought up Howard Duff. Fred Willard may
Absolutely.
He's
Fernwood tonight. Good call. Very good.
he's up there.
Yep.
But Fred Willard passed away.
Funny guy.
And then the other entertainment notable was, gee, Mrs. Cleaver, don't you look very nice today?
Oh, thank you, Eddie. Right. He played the character. It was Ken Osmond played Eddie Haskell on Leave It to Beaver.
That's right.
Which I found out he was only supposed to be on for one show.
Right.
But the first show he was on, everybody goes, "This is going to work. Let's keep this wisecracking, phony baloney on." Who went on to be 27 years or 18 years in the L.A. Police Department.
Yeah, good.
How about that?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
No, Eddie Haskell is obviously, for people our age. And,
Thank you very much, Mrs. Cleaver.
God,
Don't you look nice
yeah,
today?
you could do that all day. But Eddie Haskell passed away. Ken Osmond.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
for our audience, our age and older,
Yep.
bam. And then we got a notable passing in the NBA.
We do.
Mr. Jerry Sloan,
Yep.
who we all know, Utah Jazz head coach for 83 years.
2 finals, which we saw on the Last Dance,
Right.
obviously.
But,
right.
I'll let you talk about a lot of people. Again, you got to be old enough to remember, but Jerry Sloan was,
I do
was a
remember him
very,
playing.
very good guard and basketball player for the
Tough,
Chicago Bulls.
considered a very tough basketball player.
Absolutely. So,
And his notable thing is he did play for the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
Actually coached the Bulls
right,
for like three seasons.
right.
First player in Chicago Bulls history to have his number retired. How cool is that?
That is cool.
And one of 2 coaches to have won 1,000 games in the NBA with one team.
The other being
Greg Popovich.
Greg Popovich.
My initial answer to that question would have been Red Auerbach, which I got to think is right up there. I'm not looking it up. We don't do that.
No,
We're not doing a Rosenberg
No,
here
I
while doing our
I would
homework.
peg Red in the 900s.
Yeah,
Because Bill Russell took over as player coach.
right.
And Red had a film, Round Ball on Red.
I see that. I see that. But only Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen played more games for the Chicago Bulls. But he did have a long and successful career as a coach as well.
Correct.
And looked like he was, Parkinson's and something else, so he wasn't in great shape. But that's a notable
Yeah,
passing.
78 years old, Jerry Sloan. Even when you saw him coaching, you could see the fiery temperament that he had.
He was hot,
So, you can imagine him as a fierce competitor as a
Yep.
player. So, rest in peace, Jerry Sloan.
Yep,
So he was an NBA icon.
big time as
Yeah.
a player and a coach.
Yep.
That's rare. That's rare. But listen, we wanted to certainly make sure we mention those losses in our world, and I'm sure there's other people out there listening that have had some losses during this crazy
Oh,
time.
yeah.
But we hope that all.
Well, I'd like to bring one up. So, I'm going to send a show to my Boston University friends.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, I've had a personal loss. So, one of my dearest friends from Boston University, Arthur Whitcomb, a.k.a. Arlie, passed away of cancer, throat cancer,
Oh.
after a tough 6-year battle. And he passed away, I think, Sunday or Monday.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And I just wanted to acknowledge Arlie Whitcomb and rest in peace and my condolences to his family. And he was just a really, genuinely good guy. And
Right.
and
Falls victim to the cycle of life, right? That
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Yep.
But listen, we hope everyone else stays safe out there. And again, please send us some emails and ask us some questions. We'd love to talk about it. We thank you for listening to the show this week. And Steve, all the best to you and your kids and
Thank you.
your
And
son's
same to you.
upcoming high school football career, because we're watching closely.
Yep. Well, let's get him through his graduation, which is probably about a month away now, a little less than a month. And actually, it's going to be a virtual online thing. So
Okay.
that's it. So we appreciate our audience. Have a great Memorial Day weekend.
And
Make
we'll be
the
right
best of
back
it.
at you next week.
And we'll talk to you next week.
Stay well. Enjoy that weekend. And again, thanks to all our veterans and first responders.
Absolutely.